Right now, there's a lot on the line regarding tariffs. Are we going to see a $2,000 tariff rebate check? Are we going to see some of our national debt get paid off? Will we see seniors, people on Social Security, will they receive a larger monthly benefit as a result of this surplus in tariff revenue? Are we going to see more money go to SNAP beneficiaries? Can money go to the states? Could we see our deficit shrink every single year? And ultimately, will we see the federal income tax be eliminated for certain earners? Those are all questions that the American people have. And the Trump administration wishes they could give you an answer. The problem is they're waiting on the Supreme Court. And as of right now, the Supreme Court is skeptical that the tariffs that were put in place are legal. That's a problem. But look at this. It says Trump White House prepares tariff fallback ahead of court ruling. Right now, there's multiple discussions happening that the White House is extremely concerned that Supreme Court is going to rule against them. Meaning, this money that was brought in through tariffs might have to be paid back. According to reports, that's why the Trump administration is looking at all options, because they are considering sending that money out to the American people before the Supreme Court rules. And if that were to happen, President Trump would say, sorry, we don't have the money. It went back to the American people. And if you want to challenge that, you can try to get it back from them, but that's probably not a good move. So we'll see what happens there. I want to read a little of this article to you. Look at this right here. It says, President Donald Trump's administration is working behind the scenes on fallback options if the Supreme Court strikes down one of the major tariff authorities looking to replace the levies as quickly as possible. It says both the Commerce Department and the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative have studied Plan B options if the court rules against the administration. It says those include Section 301 and Section 122 of the Trade Act, which grant the president unilateral ability to impose duties. Okay. It says the replacement comes with risks. They tend to be either slower or more limited than the wide-ranging powers Trump has asserted so far, and could face their own legal challenges. The administration is holding out hope that it will win the case outright. Trump has repeatedly urged the justices to uphold his country-based tariffs, which he imposed by citing an economic emergency. Okay, so first off, is this an economic emergency? Based off what President Trump and the Trump administration have been saying for several months, is that we are at a disadvantage here in the United States. Because for us, what we are doing is we are hiring all these, well, technically we're not hiring, but we are buying all these products from other countries. And in order for them to make it and manufacture it and ship it and do everything, they have to hire more people. So essentially, what we are doing is we are hiring people in other countries to do the work for us. And we're just paying them a premium. Okay. President Trump says that's an economic emergency because we need to bring the jobs back here to the United States, which he said we've already received trillions of dollars in investment. I believe he said it's going to be about $19 trillion by the end of this year. And I don't even know if that included Saudi Arabia. So right now, we are seeing tens of trillions of dollars in promised investments here into the United States. But is it actually going to work? Don't know. The other issue that we are going to face, not only have countries and many companies said, yeah, we're going to manufacture there. But what's happening is we have all this promised investment into the United States. We would see all that go away, or a large portion of that go away, if tariffs went away as well. So not only are we going to see the tariff revenue go right back to what it was, which wasn't much, but we could also see the investment go right back to what it was. meaning less jobs in the United States, less taxes here in the United States, okay? Less economic growth and less GDP right here in the United States. So he's saying this is a huge, huge problem. I want to read you something else. It says, still, the preparations are the latest signal the administration is bracing for a potential unfavorable outcome after the court appeared skeptical of Trump's global tariffs during this month's oral arguments. They also show Trump's commitment to imposing tariffs, including through untested means. One administration official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said that tariffs will remain a core part of Trump's economic agenda, regardless of the court's decision. We're waiting for a decision. We hope it's going to be good, but if it's not, we'll do. We always find a way. You know, we find ways. Okay. Here are the different ones, all right? So you got Section 301. These two are currently in use right now. Section 301 is Section 232. Says the intended purpose of Section 301 is to address unfair trade practices. Says it requires investigation and it's slower to implement. Are there unfair trade practices? I think so. If a certain country, and again, I'm not going to go and name all the countries, but if one country is charging us certain duties, and yet we aren't reciprocating, but yet they're getting the better end of the deal, isn't that an unfair trade practice? Section 232 address national security threats, requires investigation, slower to implement. Okay. So here they are. Section 122, to address large and serious balance of payment deficit or imminent and significant depreciation of the dollar. I think there's a trade deficit between the United States and other countries, right? Tariffs capped at 15% and for 150 days unless Congress grants an extension. Again, Congress can jump in here and they could pass this whole thing and we're good to go. But not right now. Section 338, to retaliate against countries that discriminate against the commerce of the United States, capped at 50%, never use potentially vulnerable to legal challenge. Okay. So again, you can see that there's options, right? There are options that we have that President Trump has, but again, are they the best option? Here's the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention right now. President Trump and the Trump administration, they're preparing to see the Supreme Court rule against them. If this happens, they will change things up. They will try a different ruling and see if the Supreme Court rules against them again. There's a good chance that the Supreme Court is not going to continue to rule against the Trump administration. Eventually, something will stick, but it puts those dollars in question. Meaning, if those dollars are in question, and again, we don't know for sure, but can the Trump administration spend those dollars when they're currently being looked into and investigated? Some say no, that President Trump does not have the legal authority to spend that money as he wishes. It would take Congress to step in. But if Congress steps in, would the Supreme Court say, no, you got to pay that money back? This is where this money could be held up for some time. Meaning, no $2,000 tariff rebate check. And President Trump already said it's likely coming most likely in the summer of 2026. It also means no additional benefits for Social Security recipients. And some of that's going to be like that $200 additional boost per month for 6 months. That may not be happening. Some additional boost to SNAP beneficiaries, right? May not happen. Or the ultimate goal is to eliminate the federal income tax. That right there might not happen either. So we're going to see what's going on over the next several months. And again, we're waiting on the Supreme Court, but you need to be well aware of what the Trump administration is currently looking at. But if you have any questions on this, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. I will try to get to all your questions, answer them in a video form just like this. But as of today, that is what we know. So as we get more information, I promise I'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.